Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. Extreme with Living Color opening for them. So a nice 80s treat for us 80s rockers kids, which I definitely am. Normally I don't review the opening act, but I feel that Living Color deserves it because they're a great, truly underrated band. I mean, they had their huge songs. They had Cult of Personality and Glamour Boys, and they had that other one, Open Letter to a Landlord, which I really liked. Let me go through. They did a short set list. Middleman, Leave It Alone, Ignorance is Bliss. They did an MC5 cover, Kick Out the Jams. Then they did a Prince, Sinead O'Connor cover, Nothing Compares to You, which was really good. Then they did a little medley. I guess, everyone knew they were talented. I didn't know. One of the guys in the band, I don't know which one it was. Doug Wimbish, maybe? I forgot. I don't know. I don't know that. I know Corey and I know Vernon. I don't know the other guys. But the other guy, he played on all these old early rap songs in the studio. So they did a little medley of White Lines, Apache, and The Message, which was really cool. Then they did Glamour Boys, which also, I remember when that song came out. It's a catchy song, but I remember it kind of, it was a little, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. It was very poppy, which was weird for them. Love Rears Its Ugly Head, Type, and then they closed obviously with Cult of Personality, which was a monster song and a great song. They did not play Open Letter to a Landlord, which I liked. I remember I liked that song a lot. But man, all these years later, I'm pretty sure that was the original band. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure, but they sure look like originals. They all look familiar from the video. So very cool to see them. I actually bumped into Corey after the show in the parking lot, in the casino, walking by himself with a backpack on. Such a nice guy. He was so fucking nice. Took a picture and very cool. Anyway, this review is about Extreme, but I had to give my 2 cents and tip my hat to Living Color. Scale of 1 to 10 for Living Color. It's a solid 8.6 all day long. I don't know enough songs to fully connect to them, but it was a pleasure to see them. Great opening act. Good job for Extreme for bringing them and taking them on the road because they really work up a crowd and they deserve to be there and they deserve to have a lot more success than I think they had. But they had a good enough amount of success. Anyway, back to Extreme. Excuse me. So Extreme, man, they had a weird. They didn't fit. They came out during that Guns N' Roses era and Skid Row and Motley Crue and they just didn't fit. They have that one. This is my opinion. Always my opinion. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but this is just how I feel about them when I see and think of Extreme. They had that 1-2 punch that you need from a great rock band. They had an incredible frontman in Gary Cherone, and they had an incredible guitar player in Nunu Betancourt. That's the groundwork for great rock and roll, in my opinion, great rock and roll bands. You have that 1-2 punch with great songwriting ability, and you're onto something. They had that. I think what happened with them were two things. I think Gary's voice is incredible, but it's a little bit on a higher register. And it comes off as softer, even though he sings his ass off. And the songs are pretty heavy, some of them. But he just comes off a little softer because of his voice. And at that time when they were coming around, it was more, like I said, it was more of that Guns N' Roses. It was more of that tougher street sound, tougher rock sound. So they always got, in my opinion, and again, you can leave the comments, they just didn't know how to fit. He said it last night even. Nunu said it in one of his speeches. They were like the oddballs at the time. No one knew where to put them. And then they had something that happened to, I think, a lot of bands at the time. It was really popular to do a very soft ballad. I always say, us guys in our mid to late 40s and early 50s, we're all very sensitive. Anybody that was listening to those bands at that time, it was like hard rock, and then a beautiful soft ballad about love. And then hard rock, and then a beautiful ballad. And those 80s ballads were incredible. And they wrote More Than Words, which was massive and an incredible song and a beautiful song. But it also pigeonholed them, and it pigeonholed a lot of these 80s bands as a soft ballad band when they're not. If you listen to their music, they're actually a rockin' band. And I think that's what happened to Extreme a little bit. I just think More Than Words was so big that people looked at them as this softer rock band. But if you listen to the albums, they're really not. So, I don't know. I'm repeating myself. Let me get into the set list. That's my take on Extreme. If you agree or disagree, put it in the comments. But they just never got on that heavy metal hairband train, and they should have, but they did. I mean, it's not like they had no success. They did fine. Anyway, here's a set list. It's a pretty big set list. I mean, It's a Monster, Decadence Dance, #Rebel, Rest in Peace. I love that song. And to be clear, I'm not a massive Extreme fan. My brother was, so I know a lot of these songs, but it wasn't anything that I would ever put on. Some of it was. I remember I really like Three Sides to Every Story. We'll get into it. Let's see. Rest in Peace, Hip Today. Then they did a little medley. Teacher's Pet, Flesh and Blood, Wind Me Up, and Kid Ego. That was some of their early stuff, I believe. Play With Me, Other Side of the Rainbow is a great song. Wholehearted was another big hit they had. Also, very funky, very light. It didn't fit the heavy metal that was coming out at the time. And I don't know if they wanted to fit in the heavy metal. I think they just made music, these guys, that they liked. And it transcended. It's great. Cupid's Death, Am I Ever Gonna Change? That's one of those on Three Sides to Every Story. Those couple songs at the end, Rise and Shine and Am I Ever Gonna Change, that kind of blend together. Man, I love that song. That Am I Ever Gonna Change, I think, was my highlight for me for the whole show. I wish they did Rise and Shine, or I think that's what it's called. Under the Sun, maybe? Rise and Shine Under the Sun. Thicker Than Blood, Midnight Express, Hurricane, and then More Than Words. They did a little like acoustic set there and closed it out with More Than Words. Banshee, which is also a rocking song. Take Us Alive. Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee. I mean, Nunu's so fucking good, man. Get the Funk Out, Song for the Encore, Song for Love, and Rise, which I believe is their new one, which is actually very good. What can I say about Extreme? Gary Cherone is such a good frontman. He has, again, I shouldn't even say, I don't know. He looked a little tweaked out. He looked like he had a little nose, a little tootsie, a little booger sugar, whatever you want to call it. He just... The way, I mean, I know he's always been like this, but I don't know. The way he was like licking his lips and coming out in his full energy. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It makes for a better show. I could be wrong. I shouldn't even say that, but that's my 2 cents. But he has so much energy. He is such a great performer. He is such a great vocalist. He is so underrated as a vocalist. He had that little period where he did a Van Halen album. I remember the song, what's it called? Without You, was really good. People shit all over that album and that song, but I like that song. I like Gary and I like Nunu and other guys I don't know, but they were good. I like Extreme. I think they're a good band. I think they're a very underrated band. It's a real specific sound, but there's no doubt that it's a good sound. It's a very good sound, and it's a very good show. And it was a shame because it was pretty empty on the floor for a show like Living Colour and Extreme. I don't know what else to really say about this. I recommend it. If you love good rock and roll, even if you don't know a lot of their songs, go. They're a great rock band. They're not soft. It's not a whole ballad show of songs like More Than Words. If it was, it wouldn't be bad either because they're really good at it. Scale of 1 to 10, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good show. They're a really good band. I'm happy I saw them. They made the list. I've never seen them before, so I always love seeing bands I've never seen before, and I'm happy I got to see them. And they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. They just put out a new album. That last song, Rise, is a great song off their new album. So, they kind of entered this zone where they got enough fans. They remind me of like a Tesla, where they just have their own fan base and they can tour and tour and tour, and their fans will show up, and they'll always get little extras like me. Great show. 2 for 1. Two great bands, Living Colour and Extreme. I enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe. Leave some comments, and I will see you at the next show. I'm going to Madonna tonight. That should be interesting. Never seen her. So the 80s weekend continues. See you at the next show. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.